Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome back to my channel, y'all. If you know who that guy is, type in the comments who that is. And speaking of that guy, he is coming back out of the woodwork to provide some new content for you guys. So thought I'd just throw that out there. No pressure, but he did mention to me on the phone that he's coming back. So shout out to him. I won't spill the beans on who that is, but I do want to give a shout out to Mind Crypto, the guy that we're talking about, obviously, that you're supposed to type in the comments with the answer to, and Sebastian for an excellent X space that they did. I highly recommend you guys checking it out. Watch the replay. Very awesome discussion. Looking forward to more of these discussions moving forward. All right, before we jump into the outline, I want to point out this. As you saw in the thumbnail, UNT, Stellar, Hedera, India, and more importantly, IBM Linux One and the whole concept of Aadhaar. Now, how in the world can all of these really truly come together? And more importantly, this discovery, is it really truly a big deal? I think it is. I think it's a really, really big deal that hasn't been mentioned, maybe not at all. And that is in regards to Quant being that orchestrator through APIs and so on, bringing all of this together. So consider sticking around to the end of the outline if you choose to do so. There are chapters in the description. Smash that like if you haven't done so already. Let's get into the material because there are some updates that happen, and especially when it came to API Days 2024, Dr. Luke Riley, his pitch, if you will, when it comes to the overledger. Again, we'll get into all of this. Let's jump into the material. So, the first thing I thought I would introduce to you guys is this, and I want to give a shout out to this particular gentleman. His name is Michael Lawen, if I'm pronouncing that right. Maybe I'm not. But he has this, and I'll full screen it. He talks about, for example, he says, "Hey, DPG Maximus," right? And he goes on to mention, have you seen the connection at Aadhaar IBM Linux One? And I decided to respond to it because I am aware of that. But like I mentioned to him, I said, yes, and more importantly, this. So what do I have? Well, it's this particular link to this ISO PDF, but this is my own particular research. And what I wanted to get into was showing you guys specifically what I'm talking about in this screenshot. The 11th of March 2023, you see that there was all these other particular ISO standards, but you have this lady named Jennifer Bond Caldwell from the United States and Jeff Stapleton from the United States approved a ballot, and they're from ISO TC 68, and it was a resolution, but it was to serve as ISO TC 68 liaison experts to who? ISO TC 307 blockchain distributed ledger technologies. And what's important is Aadhaar's reference, okay? That's what I want you guys to take away from this because, again, I thought it was crucial to get into the weeds of some of this. As I get to the next part of what I have for you, as you can see right here, you will see a little bit more about why I'm pointing this out. So it goes on to mention ISO for standardization in a language of terminology, health informatics. You have circular economy, but more importantly, blockchain distributed ledger technologies, ISO TC 307. And again, it's standards. You know, we talk about some of these things and even linking it to like artificial intelligence and things like that. Well, as I got into this whole thing, what was something that really caught my eye was when I saw the whole thing of IBM, for example. Okay. So I'm going to take you back to this. And again, some of these things just, you got to get into the weeds of it. You know, some people just don't realize, like, like what exactly is that all about? Right. So I thought I would show you guys a little bit of what I'm talking about here. And from the same PDF, what do you see? Aadhaar, Citizen Digital ID Program of India, you know, Unique Identity Authority of India, UIDAI, and the Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS. No, not Bank of International Settlements, but it's kind of an interesting, abbreviation. As you go further down, Aadhaar is the largest citizen ID system in the world, containing the identities of over 1.3 billion Indian citizens and, of course, residents. If you're not aware of it, Aadhaar users can interact with an increasing range of Indian government and industry digital services, which is gradually increasing societal and digital financial inclusion. But some people want to know, inquiring minds want to know, how in the world all this comes together with Quant, Stellar, and also things like Hedera, hbar, right? Well, here it is straight from IBM, building a hard data vault solution on IBM Linux One. And again, pounding this home because it's a 12-digit unique identification number issued by, again, UIDAI for the Authority of India. And under this act that dates back to 2016, this can uniquely identify residents in India. It can be used for available in various services, but given its sensitive nature of transactions, it's very important to have a sense of security. That way, the Aadhaar number itself and all the systems that create around it will provide services to the citizens of India. More importantly, when we talk about Quant with API integration, but like a universal ledger to the connection of the RLN, Regulated Liability Network, well, you can understand how absolutely huge this finding is. But more importantly, let's understand a little bit of the architecture of it. Here it is from IBM. Here's a visual. And like I said, high-level generic architecture of Aadhaar Data Vault. You can see how this kind of flows together. But that middle part, it says tokenizer service. And I'm not referring to tokenizer the researcher, but it's REST API. This service, what it connects to, again, when we talk about Quant being an orchestrator through ISO TC 307, the overledger itself, right? Boom, look what it mentions. You can't make it up for yourself, even if you wanted to. Tokenizer is a standard application that converts a given Aadhaar number into the reference key, accessible via APIs and described in UIDAI documentation. Given the sensitivity of the Aadhaar number and the associated KYC data being handled, they propose to fortify a platform, think about that, itself, and making it a secure tokenizer accessible to business applications. That is absolutely huge because, again, this other statement, they want to secure the platform as they dig deeper in the next section. So how do we take this whole thing of this quote-unquote Aadhaar data vault and, more importantly, connect it to something that would have, and yeah, you read it right, the management of secrets like cryptographic keys and perform cryptographic functions such as key creation, key, encryption, signatures, and so on. Well, remember how we talked about Quant Authorize and their product? Yeah. Well, why IBM Linux One? Well, again, this gets good because they talk about how IBM Linux One is enterprise-grade Linux server that brings together IBM's experience in building enterprise systems with the openness of the Linux operating system. More importantly, it is cyber-resilient platform for hybrid cloud and AI applications. As we know, Quant has quite a few standards developed through AI applications, but because of standards through ISO TC 307, right? It's already been there, done that. And again, AI is part of GV's rap sheet, his particular resume. As I jump more into this and why I want to bring it to you guys is these statements about adapters. Remember how Quant, literally in the logo, looks like it's connecting to everything? That was strategically designed, but it mentions specifically about high levels of certification. It mentions this thing called FIPS, which I'm going to get into here in a bit. It's 140-2 level 4, which means it's the highest level of security out there. And I'm going to show you the significance of that here in a bit. But it can, plug up to 60 Crypto Express adapters into an IBM Z or Linux One system. When I think of that, again, I want to put some focus on that darn Quant Network logo, because that logo is a representation of all of this, how it all comes together. Because when we talk about, you know, is your project quantum resilient? How many times have we heard that statement? But another way to say that is it quantum safe cryptography. The IBM Z16 system uses quantum safe methods inside its hardware and firmware to protect customer hardware investments against potential quantum threats. Again, back to this thing of Crypto Express 7S adapters. So again, it's like when we talked about, IBM, well, there's even Casper. And it's like Casper is part of the mix when it comes to the whole thing of, IBM and Casper for AI governance. You see how it all really comes together? Let's jump into the next part, because I don't want to bore you just with all the technicalities. I want to get into the nitty gritty of why this is important and why I'm bringing it to you guys. Because a lot of times there's things that are right before under our nose, but some people just don't realize how huge that is. Are there quant connections, stellar connections, and Hedera connections that we just simply have never truly understood, because we think we have it in our heads about how big it is, but then we get more into it, and it's like, that's actually way bigger than that. Way, way bigger than that. Look what I have. Pull up the next screen. Because, again, this is kind of like part of that whole thing of orchestration, if you will. It hard data vault on Google Cloud. And you can see how this even flows, right? Again, Mumbai region, and again, we're going to reference some of these things. We're going to talk about the FITernet again, show you visuals once again. As I jump more into this, I want to point out some other key things I think is absolutely crucial for all of us to really, really understand, because sometimes people just don't get it. And here's another example. Back from that PDF, Joint Working Group, ISO, IEC, JTC 1, and also, TC 307 will be formed in those meetings. That already happened. But remember how we talked about the BRICS nations? Yeah, they already laid this standard a long time ago. But when I got more into it, when I saw other things, India, also France, I said to myself, okay, France. Well, we got the whole thing of Banque de France. That's the oversight of the Bank of International Settlements. But you see here, specifically speaking, that they had a technical report back then, back in 2018, in regards to blockchain distributed ledger technologies and how they had a security of what? Digital asset custodians. Now, that statement speaks absolute volumes, because when we talk about BlackRock, they are the king of digital asset custodians moving forward. They might not admit that, maybe because of tax purposes, but that's a real thing. So this is all aging well in my book. As I get more into this, I want you guys to understand that there's even mentions about smart contracts and their applications. But again, back to what? Back to the whole thing of these third meetings, and boom, ISO TC 307, legally binding smart contracts. It just goes on and on and on. But again, even Germany being appointed as a convener. Remember how we talked about the orchestration through the RLN? But again, Moscow, boom, there again. Really interesting to see some of the information, because, again, another BRICS country, Brazil, and coding of audio, coding of multimedia, and just going on and on with this. And it's just like, again, more and more liaisons from 307. I, again, welcome you guys to get more into it. But again, the fourth meeting was even regards to Quant Network Standard, and that took place in, of course, Russia back in October 22nd of 2018. Just wanted to pound that home a little bit more. Now, a citation from the real tokenizer, right? The researcher. He mentions a little thing about the whole thing of healthcare. Remember how we just mentioned that? And it's interesting to see Gilbert back then. He had his struggles with healthcare. Remember his wife, Laura Verdian, huge proponent of what her healthcare connections. But with the frustration that Gilbert and probably his wife experienced many years ago, it led him to found the whole thing of ISO standards, but more in particular, the Quant Network Standard, TC 307. Today, as we know, ISO is well respected as, one of the top, if not the top standard settling body in the world, with over 24,000 international industry standards under the hood in 168 countries and probably higher by now. But TC307 continues to rapidly grow and develop a blockchain. And again, back if you're a guy that's skipping around, ISO TC307 is the quant network standard founded by Gilbert Verdin, I think either in 2015 and 2016. Because again, when we see back to the whole thing of Linux One and IBM, what's it say? We're seeing more adoption in the world of enterprises by the day. There are currently over 7 working groups in 307. And by the way, look at the participation of ISO TC 307 member countries and observing countries. That's a lot. Some people say we're not there yet. Right. That flip of the switch hasn't happened yet. But these are ones that want to participate. Participation and full adoption are 2 different things, are they not? Absolutely. But this demonstrates with a visual the geographic distribution of the ISO TC 307 members and those boundaries that are around it. So additionally, like Tokenizer mentions, ISO is no longer the only standard settling body that's pushing the adoption of TC 307, but since then, they opened countless liaison groups that help them further push standardization and blockchain in all other parts of the economy. So when we talk about ISO standards, we talk about ISO 222 till we're blue in the face, understanding that 307 is definitely the one of the ISO committee, if you will, that really stands out and separates itself from the pack. You could call them, the head of the pack, if you will. Getting more into this and why it's important and why I'm bringing it to you guys, it's these little things. You know how we talked about that Quant, they use a certain color coordination? Now, some people are going to criticize me, and I get that, and I could take the heat. But it's one thing to reference the key things of color coordination. So for one, if you've been following these deep dives, we have saw BlackRock use the orange and black color coordination. Now you see it with IBM, the black and orange once again. And then on top of that, we know that is the main color coordination with the overledger. I'm just saying, some people think that's a stretch, but they could pick any color, especially their own native color, which is, for IBM, the blue and the classic white. I'm going to play this. It's just a quick commercial to display the product of Linux One, and we're going to get more into the weeds of why all of this really, really matters. Shout out to everybody that's still stuck around for the outline. You rock. Smash the like again if you haven't done so already. I think this is crucial for everybody's understanding of the bigger picture of all this. Quant, Stellar, and Hedera. Here we go.
You have big ideas. Ideas that could transform your business. But to help make that happen, you need a platform with security, scalability, flexibility, reliability, and performance. What if it could also support your sustainability goals? What if your big ideas could come with a small footprint? IBM Linux One is an open source platform designed to help you put your big ideas into action and harness the power of Linux and Kubernetes to help you lower energy consumption and decrease floor space. So, whether you're the visionary behind a game-changing startup or an enterprise leader who's scaling a business to new heights, IBM Linux One is engineered to give you the ability to transform big ideas into innovation. IBM Linux One, your open source platform for big ideas with a small footprint.
All right, glad to share that with you guys, obviously. The next thing I'm going to get into of the significance of all of this is taking a course over to this particular citation from Ledger Insights. Now, as we know, Gilbert Verdin does a lot of citations and posts things for reference over on Ledger Insights. He just posted one not that long ago, about a week or two ago. So let's take you over to there as well. And here it is. And what does it say? Plain as day, IBM in this citation, and just show you the original one. Look what you see. IBM partners with R3 for enterprise blockchain. And again, back all the way to October 22nd of 2020. And, it's good to reference the past and, of course, bring it to the present and then possibly the future. But I'm going to jump down to this key area. This is good stuff because, again, it talks about interoperability and all this stuff. But, again, what's this area here? IBM wants to do what? Bridge the divide given its involvement with several distributed ledger technologies. IBM is also on the governing council of the Hedera Hashgraph DLT and used Stellar for its IBM WorldWire project. Now, we've already been there, done that. But, again, listen to this. This center of excellence is being designed to innovate and incubate client-requested ideas and use cases, leveraging IBM's deep expertise in developing and standing up commercially available production-grade blockchain networks. That was the part about blockchain. Below it says Jason Kelly, GM of IBM Blockchain Services, says, quote, "We will use IBM methods, including design thinking to focus efforts on developing interoperability solutions for disparate blockchain networks, digital assets, and currencies and industry-focused use cases." As we get further into the outline, you'll see how this ages well because it gets into the nitty-gritty of what I was talking about in regards to, IBM. So this thing called HSM is tamper responding. And it says IBM Crypto Express adapters support cryptographic operations using what they call secure keys. And what's crucial to understand here is these secure keys can only be used on the configured HSM, and the plain text value of a secure key is never observable inside an operating system. IBM HSM on Linux One have earned the highest level of certification, and that again is called FIPS 140-2 level 4. But basically, you can plug up to 60 Crypto Express adapters into an IBM Z or Linux One system. And again, this is back to that logo, if you will, because I think this is a very, very big deal. But more importantly, it's back to that statement about standards, U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is NIST, and of course, that will take you to the next part of some things I want to point out for you guys, because this is from csrc.nist.gov. It's an official document in regards to NIST and the United States FIPS for what? 140-2 cryptographic module validation. You have the United States, and you also have the Communication Security Establishment of the Government of Canada. But more importantly, I want you guys to understand some key things here. And that is, in accordance with the derived test requirements of FIPS 140-2, security requirements for cryptographic modules, FIPS 140-2 specifies the security requirements that are to be satisfied by a cryptographic module. Pay attention to this. This is good stuff. Utilized within a security system protecting sensitive information, for example, United States, or designated information for Canada, with computer and telecommunication systems, including voice systems. It says products which use the above identified cryptographic module may be labeled as complying with the requirements of FIPS 142, so long as the product throughout its life cycle continues to use the validated versions of the cryptographic module as specified in the certificate. The validation reports contains additional details concerning test results. No reliability test has been performed, and no warranty of the products by both agencies is either expressed or implied, but the certificate includes the details of the scope of conformance and validation authority signatures on the reserve. Now, as you jump down into it, you got to kind of, understand and respect. These are official documents, right, that recognize all of this. And this is the highest level of security. And more importantly, do we have a signature or a couple signatures of a sign-off? We do. And what do we have? You have signed on behalf of government of the United States, this particular person, Chief Computer Security Division, National Institute of Standards and Technology, and you have the other person from the Government of Canada in regards to Communication Security Establishment. Now, You may be wondering, well, so what, Max? I don't care about this stuff. You always like to get into the weeds of the nerd talk, and I just want to hear about when Lambo. Well, you're going to have to pump the brakes on that one because this gets really interesting. Because when we get into the weeds of Microsoft, does Microsoft recognize this? And the answer is yes. The Cryptographic Module Validation Program, CMVP, is a joint effort, of course, of the United States National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and the Canadian Center for Cybersecurity, CCS, validates cryptographic modules to the security requirements of cryptographic module standards. My God, it's a mouthful. But the whole point is that implementation, the NIST Information Technology Laboratory operates a related program. Think about that for a second. That validates the FIPS approved cryptographic algorithms in what? In that module. And of course, Microsoft has an approach to it all. And listen to this, it gets absolutely beautiful. Microsoft maintains active commitment to meeting the 140-2 requirements, having validated cryptographic modules since the standard's inception in 2001. My goodness. Think about it. Action, reaction. Probably because you had to safeguard the living hell out of everything after 9/11, right? This is not rocket science. But back to that whole thing in NIST. Multiple Microsoft products, including many cloud services, use these cryptographic modules. Now you're going to be wondering, like, well, it doesn't mention anything about Quant. Listen to this. This is good stuff. Doesn't mention anything about Stellar. Doesn't mention anything about Hedera. Well, we talked about all that on this screen, right? Did we not? Because it does mention that, just in case you forgot. It mentions interoperability. So there was that. But here's where it gets really, really good. Boom. Check this out. Because guess what? Computer Security Division, CSD, and Applied Cybersecurity Division, called ACD, has this whole thing of what? The participants, or what they participated in, I should say, they held a leadership in ISO TC 307, boom, Quant Network Standard, everybody, on blockchain, distributed ledger technologies, and its United States Mirror Committee. So what you saw, back to what I shared earlier, of those two people signing off on it, they hold leadership positions in ISO TC 307 and blockchain distributed ledger technologies and its United States Mirror Committee. My goodness, that is a huge, huge deal. But is there more? Well, here's a visual. Katya Delok, she's part of the federal government. Look at this for a second. This gets really interesting because look at her education. She has a PhD, which means she's a doctor in physical chemistry over at the University of Wisconsin in Madison. She has, for example, her bachelor's of science in chemistry over at MIT. We know the Quant connection is with MIT, Thomas Harjano. But more importantly, look what it says. She has responsibilities at the NIST offices, serving both as the Office of Weights and Measures of the Physical Measurement Laboratory and Computer Security Division of NIST Information Technology Laboratory. But again, does it say anything in regards to the reference to Quant? And there is your first boil it, mash it, stick it in stew moment, because in the Computer Security Division, she coordinates the work of researchers focusing on what everybody, blockchain, distributed ledger technology, providing the whole context for this research and how it can inform policy. Policy, boom, another boil it, mash it, stick it in stew moment, because what did Gilbert Verdi and Larry just talk about? My God, a few weeks ago about policy. I get hyped sometimes, do I not? Not because I'm creating hype. I just love when I get into the research with this and see how this opens up, like the flower, if you will. It's blooming, everybody. Look at this. This gets really good because, again, she provides support for ISO activities in TC 307. She's the one? Incredibly interesting. And it gets better. Talk about a rap sheet. Previously, Katya served as an International Affairs Officer in International and Academic Affairs Office, IAAO. She was responsible for NIST representations of the United States-Egypt Joint Board Program, supported NIST representation of Board of Indo-U.S. Science and Technology Fund, Indo. Remember how we talked about that? Especially when it comes to like Indonesia. I don't know if you guys watch my Ripple outline. That aged well as well. And she managed the proposal review process for the U.S. component of the United States-Israel Binational Research Development, which is called BIRD Foundation Awards. She also managed numerous bilateral relationships with research institutions abroad. But more importantly, back to that, she has support of ISO activities in TC 307. That is massive. All right. I want to get back into the weeds of this because you want to know something? Some people say, well, what about back to the whole thing you're talking about India, Max? Yeah, I didn't forget. I don't forget about stuff I talk about in the beginning of the outline. Because from the BIS, cross-border payments, unlocking new frontiers. Augustine Carson's, once again, I told you we would talk a little bit about the Finternet concept again. So BIS, Bank of India, Global Conference, Digital Public Infrastructure and Emerging Technologies, that was back on the 27th of August. But how many times do you see here, specifically speaking, about India? So this is the words from Augustine Carstens, basically. He says, India stands at the forefront of digital public infrastructure development, and its experiences offer many lessons for other policymakers. Boom, policymakers. See how we connected that? The rapid deployment in infrastructure such as Aadhaar. My God, thank you so much, Mr. Who? Michael Lawen. See how this all comes together? Yeah, I think you do. But anyway, getting back into this, infrastructure such as Aadhaar and the Unified Payments Interface, UPI, has delivered substantial advances in financial inclusion and payments efficiency. It's shown to the public authorities by thinking big, acting fast, and embracing cutting-edge technology can deliver transformative change and unlock full creative potential of the private sector for the benefits of all. It is key to today's two-tier monetary system and will remain crucial as the monetary and financial system continues to evolve to the future in both India and globally. We should bear India's I read too fast sometimes. We should bear India's experience in mind as we think about how public authorities can encourage the efficient and safe deployment of the new financial market infrastructures. And does it mention tokenization? And does it mention AI? Boom, another boiler mash that stick in the stew moment, because you have emerging technologies such as tokenization and AI. And more importantly, how efficiently it will be ran for a secure financial system. Do you guys, I don't know, I see a lot of you guys, like you'll get the keyword and you'll let me know that you listen to the whole outline. Shout out to you guys that do this, because you want to know something. Your family, or in my case, my future family, right? They will thank you for generations to come, because it's literally here. If people take the time and liberty to connect it all, let's connect some more things, because that's what Quant does it not? Quant, straight from the Quant Network site. Look at this. This is the connectors, guys. We're about 3/4 done. The fundamental value of digital twins is that they can be basically repositories of multiple data models related to the product or asset, while the digital twin instances, DTIs, mirror a single physical entity and activity. Digital twin aggregates, DTA. They are a composite of individual DTIs. In a blockchain environment, each DTI would function as a distinct node or token. The more complex the project, the more nodes would be added. But more importantly, what does it say in regards to IBM? Well, it says specifically, the goal of any digital twin is to generate unique insights that would be hard to uncover in the purely physical realm, but these insights can be applied when developing the next new product or refining one's supply chain. As IBM explains, the difference between a simulation and digital twin is that the latter can run any number of simulations in order to study multiple processes. Again, understanding how Overledger plays a factor, because it's the last statement on the screen, and that is Overledger ensures that no matter how complex the digital twin instance or aggregate may be, the underlying infrastructure can be readily used, allowing organizations to scale up the digital twin projects over time. This is made easier by the fact that we are able to do what, everybody? Create APIs that allow the whole system to be easily updated. And maybe some people feel as though I should just end it right here, and I wouldn't blame you. But again, it gets even that much better, because back to Quant Papa's old citation from his old video before he got banned from X, and that is, are you ready for the overledger, QNT, the network of networks, foundation for trade digitization? Remember how we talked about platforms? Remember how we talked about, digital platforms for domestic international trade? Below that, industry ecosystems, industry-specific solutions across the value chain. Internet of value, internet of trust. Gilbert talks about that. What about partnerships, embracing collaboration and enabling agility? We have partnerships that exist in government, United States, Canada, and so on. But more importantly, people that have already signed off in regards to standards, everybody. And the most important security standard that one I just referenced to you guys that even Microsoft uses. How about this one? ICIC Bank India. Why is that important? Because as we get into it, ICIC Bank references everything that Augustine Carstens talked about the Finternet. iMobile Pay, fast and secure UPI payments app. It's a UPI app for secure and seamless UPI payments. Talks about, for example, all this other stuff. Seamless form of payment. And again, this all pounds home the whole concept of what? This publication in the newspaper in India. What's it say? From specifically this citation. Making a universal digital financial system in the works by using tokens and unified programmable ledgers. I know it's still getting hyped up. I'm sorry. Finternet seeks to connect multiple ecosystems to deliver quality financial services faster, cheaper, and securely. Yeah. India definitely recognizes it. They definitely do. All right. Update. Because this happened, what? Literally the other day. Yeah, literally the other day, everybody. What does it mention here? Yesterday, and I believe also today, API Days, London 2024. Remember how Dr. Luke Riley is supposed to pitch this or share the product? Who do you see at the top of that pyramid? IBM. And who do you list as, of course, that's platinum. And then the gold is some of those other ones that you see there. And it's funny how gold is API 7.ai. Interesting. We'll have to get more into that in the future. But what do you see in regards to silver? You see Quant literally mentioned there. Do you not? You do. Another screenshot. Shout out to Quant Papa for these screenshots. Great job. I don't know where you got them, but it doesn't matter. Application DLT gateway. Blockchain network. The wide scope of the DLT gateway definition allows a DLT gateway creator to add a large variety of features that can be consumed via APIs, such as the ones listed. We already been here, guys. We already done that. But that's Dr. Luke Riley at this particular event. And another thing, look what it says. Quant, standardizing the world of blockchain with APIs. But more importantly, API Days London. And what does it say? Literally, on the far left, I know some of you guys can't really see it really well, but right above where it says IBM, this is so awesome. APIs for smarter programs and business processes. Right above the IBM and a little bit below IBM, you have Quant. Yes, I bet you anything. I'll call it. I'll make a bet on it. You have people from probably IBM also sitting there. And guess what? We already established this years ago, IBM and Quant. But how about this? Stellar and Quant. Stellar Protocol, IBM chose them. Hedera, IBM Governing Council. I mean, again, all of this simply makes sense. And that's why I'm not going to be a maxi on any of this stuff. And again, just to be the icing on the cake. Digital Pound Foundation. Remember Gilbert Verdi used to work for him? Ademia, Airtel, and Nokia collaborate for what? Offline CBDC payments on feature phones. Offline CBDC payments. Are we talking about that reference to Augustine Carstens once again about the Finternet? I think we are. Because guess what? What do you see here? Ademia, in partnership with Airtel Payments Bank and Nokia's parent company. Look what it says, guys. It says here, unveiling an initiative to introduce an offline central bank digital currency payment application for feature phones in India. Collaboration to enhance the reach of offline CBDC payments. Boom. That once again. In this other statement, it's understanding we are confident that this collaboration will allow us to further expand the reach of digital payments, again, digital payments, and be the pioneers in the development and acceptance of the digital rupee in India. He emphasized the value of alliance with Nokia, Airtel Payment Bank, in shaping the future of offline retail CBD systems. And again, all this references back to India, technology for all. And then guess what? You may be thinking, well, it doesn't mention Quant. It don't have to mention Quant. How do you say Quant without saying Quant, right, Mr. Channing? Because guess what? Who likes this posting? Andrew Carrier, the CMO, Chief Marketing Officer over at Quant Network. Do you see how all of this comes together, guys? So for me, I'm telling you flat out, I know what I have. I know why I hold it. I truly feel as though the research, not just mine, others in this awesome research community that we have, know that the research trumps any FUD 110%. Because you just got to take the time to listen. There's some people that, they just want the quick 5-10 minutes. Somebody point this out in the comments. There's a crowd of people that are your TikTok crowd or your YouTube Shorts crowd. And all they have time, I guess apparently with their investments, is to watch a quick 30-second to 1-minute video. This is your generational future wealth at stake. Why wouldn't you want to pay attention to it? So I salute all you guys for taking the time to listen to these deep dives. I really do appreciate it. I'm very passionate about blockchain distributed ledger technologies because it is clear, plain as day, that this is the future. People will ask in the comments, when? I'm hoping it's by the end of 2025, but you know what? I am more than prepared to hold longer than that because it's not a matter of if anymore. It's just a simple matter of when. So if you listen to this particular outline, just do me a favor and type in this key word, and that is Channing. And I will know that you listen to the outline. Channing, as in Channing. Shout out to her brother Channing. We look forward to having you back, sir. We'll see you on the next one.
If managing your crypto feels like solving a puzzle, it's time to switch to Decent Wallet. Say goodbye to complicated setups and hello to Decent Wallet, the hassle-free solution to your digital currency needs. With just a few taps, you can manage, track, and secure your crypto with unmatched ease. And here's the best part. Grab your Decent Wallet at a discounted price by using the referral link below. Don't miss out on making your crypto experience smoother and more secure.